We're on page Kuf Mem Zayin. And we'll start from the line that begins with the word as Ha'oretz, which is approximately 8 lines from the top. This is the conclusion of the quote from Tanya, that Hashem's knowing the earth, this is that which brings the earth into existence. This is the highest of the earth, and this is what gives it its presence. He's knowing it. So the last thing we said last time was this knowing is a makif quality rather than a pnimi quality. And we left this a bit in air because we can interpret in knowledge, meaning knowing the specifics of something which is like a pnimi. And here's where we get to a clear identification, understanding of makif and pnimi.
You don't hear anything? Oh, yeah.
You may know something thoroughly. This knowledge has absolutely no effect on that which you know. You know it not because it affects you either. You know it in its own reality. You know it because you so choose to know it.
You often say, you know there is a first being.
The what?
Very often you say, you should know there's a first being.
Yeah.
This affects us necessarily.
Huh?
This affects us. This has an effect necessarily. You just said it doesn't affect you.
One second, no, that's it. Please. Knowledge per se, now it's knowing something, is a valid, is an effect, but by knowing it, that does not affect you. I know there is a cup here, and therefore I can go and drink this cup. But this knowledge does that force me to drink the cup? This knowledge will not enable me to drink the cup. If I hold it in my hand, yes. But knowing it, seeing it, will not have, it cannot in any which way assist me, participate in drinking it. It's a makif enabler. I hope this is clear. Is that clear now? Why? Come on. What's missing here? When you see this cup, does that force the cup help you?
I give you the example of the first being, and you choose the cup.
The first being. In what way does the first being affect you?
It's the reality.
No, it doesn't. It's because you choose to be affected by it.
But should we be affected every second?
Yes.
So?
You choose, but you choose it. It doesn't not directly affect you, this knowledge.
Okay.
You're sitting here, you see me. Does that compel you to see me?
I could look somewhere else.
What was it?
I could look somewhere else.
You can look somewhere, you can close your eyes and not be completely unaware of it.
Okay.
But if I touch you, can you ignore my presence?
No.
Purely?
No.
Because touch is a pnimi effect, and sight is a makif effect. And yet, here's the wonder of the whole thing. By touch, you know that I'm touching you, but it's insignificant. You know nothing about the significance of that touch. But when you look at me, when you look at each other, then there is a tremendous significance to it. Because then you are relating to the makif, to the reality of this thing. A completely different level. This is what we're trying to explain.
Since we're talking into this, it does seem like the guy who sees the crime, he cannot be the judge nor the jury because he saw it, right? We've had that.
Halachically.
Yeah, so seemingly seeing it is a direct effect, choosing or not choosing.
The principle behind this halacha that you now call it is the following. That when you see a crime, when it comes in front of a judge, the judge has to be able to consider pros and cons. He has to consider accusation and defense. But when you see a crime, then you cannot relate to the defense element.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've seen it. Mm-hmm. This is why you're ineligible to be a judge in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which seems to prove the point that seeing something is directly affecting.
It's not affecting.
It's
affecting your mind.
That's my point. That seems to be the discussion.
Wait a second. Judgment of a case. On what basis do we judge a case? Is there anything in your existence that compels you to judge a case one way or another? I always remind us We have to recognize the depth and the supremacy of our capacity of knowledge, of intelligence. Intelligence is way beyond, higher than that which, than the physicality that we are relating to. Intelligence, as I said before, I know it because I want to know it, because it has significance to me. If not for that, it would be, I would completely ignore it, non-existent. So when you say that being that I saw the crime and therefore I cannot see any defense, I cannot accept any defense element, why is that compelling? Am I compelled that way? Or is it because I choose to follow this view?
Well, if it was a matter of choice, he would not be disqualified from being judge or jury, but he is.
No, it is a matter of choice. It is his intelligence that directs him to look at this way. I'm asking you, it's not just a theoretical thing. Is he compelled to see it that way? At seichel, on the seichel level, he's compelled.
The main point I get that by virtue of our choice, things go from knowledge to becoming real, or however it stated. But it just seems like this halacha seems to show the opposite. That's all. It doesn't. It's not our main point today, but
it is a main point, because if we can't go over the first base, we can't go any further.
So again, what if he?
Could you use the example of the witness as opposed to the judge here?
I don't know what. I'm always asking. Please bring your intelligence to the forefront. Don't look at the words with which it is presented.
We seem to be dealing with the topic of this knowledge that comes by sight is kind of makif and not.
What enables a person to see two sides of an issue?
Objectivity.
Either indecision or breadth of view.
Not indecision.
I'm joking.
The truth, no? The truth.
What enables a person to see two sides of an issue?
Breadth of mind.
Excuse me?
Breadth of
mind. It's his choice. It's rooted in the in the depths of the nefesh.
Right. And once he's physically seen the crime, he seems to lose that element, which is just a funny anomaly.
Okay. So now you have to understand, what does it mean he loses that element? What does that mean he loses that element? Does he literally lose that element?
He doesn't lose his breadth of mind. He doesn't lose his breadth of mind. He just
his tendency is in that direction. He's not neutral to the case. Said he loses that element.
I think he recuses himself.
That's the point.
He withdraws himself. That's an intelligent choice.
You're not hearing the point, okay?
It's an intelligent choice.
You're not hearing the point.
Yeah, I'm hearing the point. You're putting it as
let's not make it an open issue here. What is what he does not? Wait a second.
You're saying it's just local. You're saying it's just for that case that he.
No, for any case, he doesn't lose even in this case. No, he doesn't lose. Even in this case. Even in this case, he's recusing himself. That's by his choice.
Okay.
That's by his choice, but not because he loses the ability to understand the other argument.
But surely he would not be disqualified if he was still even-handed.
Logically, he's disqualified because he is not coming to it completely without any prejudice.
That's all I'm saying. He seems to have been swayed by what he saw.
That's right. But sway does not compel him.
Okay, fine. Okay.
He's still a makif inyan. He's swayed in that direction, but he's not compelled.
Compromise, but not. Okay. Interesting.
All right.
We use the term sometimes on Mukhrach mitzad seichel.
Excuse me?
We use the term compelled mitzad seichel sometimes, no?
Yeah, but it's still a choice, Ahmed. He compelled his seichel because he chooses to follow reason. The source of that is still the Rotz. Going back to the Indian. That we said the idea is a makif element. It is convincing, and it is actually representing, but it's a makif. It does not take you and force you to see it one way or another. In contrast, I know this cup is here. In contrast that to my holding the cup. If I should the moment decide, I'm not holding the cup, what will happen?
It'll fall down.
It'll be a mess. But if I decide I don't see the cup, what's going to be? I think it's very clear. The principle, the great relation over here is the capacity for a makif view. It's a very realistic view, and yet it is seeing things from a truth, from a higher viewpoint. It's called a makif. Not something that I know because it affected me, but I know it because of what it is.
It's higher than AYIN ro'eh v'lev chomer. It's removed from any bribes this way or that way.
No. AYIN ro'eh v'lev chomer. Would you consider it? Hey, the guy is innocent. He saw it. Can he have? Therefore, he desires it. Are we then absolving ourselves from any untoward desires because he saw it?
No, you're not absolved. But
Why not?
Because there's an insight that's higher than what
you
the
said
eye.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I said there's an insight that is higher than what the eye sees.
No, because that's because this is all a makif. It's not compelling.
Okay.
AYIN ro'eh v'lev chomer is not an excuse. The Alter Rebbe pushing Tanya, we're learning now. But even a Yeshiv Kronis, who's constantly exposed to Taivas, he has no excuse for his following his Taivas.
Right.
So basically you're speaking that the makif sight would be a sight that you do not translate.
You don't?
Translate in your own understanding. You let the sight present itself to you and try to accept whatever you've been shown.
And then you have a choice to accept it or not accept it, to be interested or not interested. It's not compelling you. This is what the Rebbe says, that Hashem's knowing of the world, this is what gives the real presence of the world. The creation koyach. But this is a makif element. This is what the Rebbe says. Therefore, we see that the power of creation is in the soive rather than the pnimi.
I followed you till the creation part. How does this go back to the creation?
From Zion, right?
Oh, here.
Where are we?
He is absent.
What troubles me here is that you're using the word knowledge. We're talking about our knowledge of things, and we're comparing to the knowledge of the world by God. How could we use the same term?
It's in the image REBBE uses it. That's why does it bother you? It's true that the Rebbe gave human beings qualities, divine qualities. Look, you see this? This is 5 feet away from you. What enables you to see it? You understand what I'm saying? You really understand what I'm saying? That which you hold, okay, that affects you. Here, I see it a mile away. Where do I get that capacity?
But how does this translate to Chayes HaOlam?
This is a background that we presented earlier, not today, another day. The Chayes HaOlam, where is the world, where does the creation transpire? And what transpire means? Everybody know what that means? What that word means?
Come about.
Hello? No, I know that you know. An English expert.
Sorry.
Anyone understand where does this transpire? Where does it happen? It happens within the reality of the Motzei Rishon, of the divine presence. The reality of the Motzei Rishon is what supports all existence. Let's translate it in our terms. This table is standing here. This table is staying here in this space of this room. The space of this room is a space even as the space outside. It's exactly the same space. Just as the space outside does not enable the standing of a table, you will need to add for a table to stand there. The same is true about the space here. What is the difference between the space outside and the space inside? It is the human identification of the difference between this space and this space. It's the human spirit, the human knowledge that distinguishes this space and this space. Here the table belongs, and there the table doesn't belong. Here it perfectly fits, and there it does not fit. This is what it creates, because Hashem's knowledge, as the Rebbe continues to say, let's continue and finish the line, which we already did before. The line begins with Hanivroyim. Say 8 lines from the top. At the end of that line, actually, go down a couple of lines. The line begins with Shachayus. Shachayus, Shelevei Kadur, Himidose Yisbor. The Chayus of the Ovei Kadur, the entire thickness, the entire coarseness, the entire tangibility of the Kadur is from Hashem's knowledge. And here is what the Rebbe gives us a complete presentation. The Yose Yisbor, that Hashem's knowledge, who is Mashivi, Dias Atzma Yideyas Anivroim. Hashem's knowledge is not an external knowledge because he observed something someplace. The truth of this knowledge stems from himself. B'dias atzmai. By knowing him, in knowing himself, he knows all the creatures, everything, all the creatures. Therefore, just as himself is a real presence, those creatures that are known within himself are also real presences. By being as part of him providing for their being, that gives them a real mitzvah. Just as a human being providing for the table gives the table a real mitzvah. And the truth is, if you have to expand on it, because if this room were not our room, it was somebody else's room, then we would have no ability to put a table there. The table would be there, an extraneous thing would have no right to be, would not be a real presence. To be a real presence, it has to be your room. The creation, as the Rebbe said, the creation is Ideyas Hashem, Ideyah. But Ideyas Atzma Ideyah. The Atzma, this is the real Metzias. This is reality itself. This is the Motzer Rishon, the presence of the Motzer Rishon. This is what enables all existence. We absolutely have a difficulty to relate to this, because we are convinced that this Gashmizik Mitzias is present in nothingness. It just claims its own right to be. Where do you get nothing? It's just a reality, its own reality. Created doesn't need to be created. It's too real to be created. And the Rebbe is explaining to us, the Torah is explaining to us, this is a complete misunderstanding of what you seek. You have to remember, Bereshis Bora Lekim the Shemaim V'Soretz. The Shemaim and Oretz that are so tangible and so real to you, they are divine creations. They were not always there. And they don't have any compelling element that they should persist to be. They persist to be because the divine will wants them to be. The Gemara says, Shit al Feshnin, Have Oma, V'chat Chru. Anybody, I'm sure you, let me translate what the Gemara. Shit al Feshnin, the world has a presence for 6,000 years. V'chat Chru, and then there's 1,000, because 1,000 years is like a day on the divine level. So there's one day is Chruv, is Shabbos, and the whole world reverts back to nothingness. and then gets recreated again.
I didn't fully understand. In other words, at the end of the day, when we perceive the table, it's still on a spiritual level. We don't have. How does this idea satsme turn into a physical world?
Because anything from us is only an emotional for the Elokus. The reason it's only a emotional is because there's no comparison between the power of our knowledge and the power of his knowledge. Our knowledge is merely recognizing, identifying. His knowledge makes things be the way they are. Why? Because he is the source of all existence. Using the words of the Rebbe, B'dias Atzmoy. In a human being, too, there are different levels of knowledge. There is observable knowledge. Knowledge that he learns and hears and finds out. And then there is inherent knowledge internal to himself. The principle that you are alive every person knows to cherish his life. You know what cherish means?
Endear.
Cherish means guard with all capacity. How does he know that he's alive? He cherishes his life. This cup, he knows it. How does he know that he's alive? What's the answer? B'dias atzmoi. He knows that he's alive from its inception, not by finding out about it. The Rebbe created a human being. I can always repeat. The Rebbe created a human being of a divine quality. He knows himself completely, thoroughly, through and through. And internally to himself, by himself, he knows that there's a divine truth. And he seeks the divine truth. This he knows from his own neshama. He doesn't have to find it out. Because he is a divine reality, and that's why he knows it.
So the knowledge of neshama is one of the levels of knowledge that you're talking about, right?
It's a top knowledge. It's not one of the levels. It's not a level. It's an inherent. It's a primary knowledge. A level is a process. This is not part of the process. This is B'dias atzmoi. When a baby comes out of the womb, even inside the womb, but when it comes out of the womb, you can see. It comes out of the womb, it comes out crying. Everybody knows that, right? When a baby ventures out of the womb, it cries. Why is it crying? Anything hurt it?
uncomfortable.
He's being disturbed. This is his awareness of himself. This awareness of himself did not begin at the point of birth. In the womb he knew himself very well. And there's this knowledge that he's now manifesting. He says, what are you disturbing me for? I'm comfortable. This knowledge of himself in the womb is not, it creates the reality of his existence for himself, to the point where he protests when he's being disturbed. This is the explanation, the best that we can render, or what it says, what the REBBE says, that by knowing the world, this is what gives presence to the world, real presence to the world. And the REBBE, here in our Maimar, adds this point, because idiosi means idiois atzmoi. Idiois atzmoi, there cannot be anything more real than that. This is what gives real presence to everything. In a certain sense, it becomes as true as himself. And for this, we have this motion in our own experience. That your abode, your home, is as true as yourself. You said many times, you would not permit anybody to move into your home, even if it doesn't disturb your movements at all. He moves out into an attic, and you have no interest in the attic. He moves in, he says he's walking on your head, but you're not there. The answer is that which is yours is you. This is the miraculous divine gift to the human being. That the human being can find a means to understand godness from himself. Even though he is a creature, a creation. And therefore he is really out of proximity to his creator. But his creator has imbued in him his creator's qualities. And this is why a human being knows his surrounding even if his eyes are closed. Doesn't have to see it. I never dreamt that we would have to go this far, but since we did, I think it behooves, it serves us well. And thus, this is what the REBBE says. The entire chayus, and I'm coming back to the term chayus kadur. This is a kind of a kind of a perplexing reference, inference. The kadur haaretz, the most tangible entity in the entire creation. And we say, what does its present represent? Chayus. So Shlomo Zayinus says, but it's not alive. Chayus means life. And the answer is, there is chayas at the performance level, at seichel. There's chayas at the level of atzilus, bria, yitzira, and asiyah. And asiyah is a chayas on the tangible level. Just as in our own experience, if I put this down over here, this is a physical cup, and it's standing on a physical table, in a physical room, and I put this down with my physical hand. It is here not an account of its physical makeup. It is here on account of my wanting it to be here. It has a chayas. And it will be an idiot who comes and says, I came into the room and I saw tables consisting of boards and legs, and I saw cups all over the place. I saw chairs. This is not what he sees.
It's an art, like to say.
Excuse me?
It's like an art. The cups, the table.
That's right, it's a whole reality. We have an artist over here, he can contradict me. The difference between, listen to this, you have a piece of art. Anybody can take a piece of art, can take, not on art, can take a view, a physical view, and he can learn how to render it on canvas. Copy what he sees on canvas. Surely one can copy a picture. Right? Anybody can. And then there's this copy of the picture. And then there is a piece of art that produced by an artist. And it's an amazing thing that people with a keen eye who understand art, they said, this is a piece of art, and it's worth $1 million. And this is a piece of ink and paper. I don't see the difference. It's exact copy of what this is. The difference is that, yes, indeed, you copied the view, this external view, what it appears like, and an artist renders it from its chayus, from the chayus of this. What makes the cup standing on the table? That's what he captures. And this is what produces. This is why it has such a tremendous effect.
Is it right that someone writes that he wanted to make a picture that one, so he had to become religious?
He had to become religious, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, the real artist would certainly say that.
Right.
Me? I can make the picture and we should have it directly.
By the example of the cup, it's okay to think of chayas here as sort of significance, in the sense that that's how we use
when it comes to the term significance, is translating chayas on a superficial level.
Okay, but inside the mashal, that's sort of what it came down to. A real
that's only because that's how we can put it into words and translation. But that's not the reality of it. It's much more than significant. It's a real thing. And if you come, my cup is standing over here. You come and you move my cup. What kind of chutzpah is this? You offended me.
So what? You offended me. So the quality above significance is we've used the word chayas, but that I tend to think of vitality. Chayut, vitality, but that's
anything
not it either,
you translate
right? Doesn't help.
Is it translate? That's
right. So what good is there any decent English word outside of vitality or significance?
I'll tell you the difference.
Use the word reality a second.
No. The decent English word is life.
Life.
Because we don't understand, but life in the English language is something which is an add-on to reality. It's not. Life is that which makes things real.
This is chayas.
Right.
We can use this word because we also don't understand.
Sorry?
We can use this word because we also don't understand it.
Yeah, so that one is. They're trying.
And I said, you have to be an idiot who comes and say, all I moved was a cup. What do you mean you moved a cup? You offended me directly.
That's interesting. And you're not so attached to the cup. It's not an ego thing, but you're direct.
What?
It's not ego. You're not so attached
No,
to the
no,
cup,
no.
but you are somehow invested in.
It represented it. It represented things.
It's interesting.
You have to. You respect people's possessions
Yeah.
because you respect the people, not their possessions.
Mm.
In the beginning of the Shia started out with the makab, that the makab is not compelling. Is this the correct to say that that's why there's Bachira, because everything...
One second. Now we have to come to the Pnimi eventually. That's the next step. The makib is what is the enabler. The Pnimi, which we are as first coming to, the difference between makib and Pnimi is makib, when I see it, Pnimi, I'm holding it. Now, what is the difference?
In which difference in which way? There's a lot of differences.
What's the principal difference? When I see it not because of itself or because of its environment. I touch it because of itself. That's a Pnimi.
But I want to ask, because of makab was being said that it's not compelling and Pnimi is compelling, right?
Yeah.
So that's why there's Bachira, because makab is not compelling. It's not compelling like to see the Mutzirishin, because you have to see it, you could close the eyes.
No younger. I'm going to be 22 next month.
Bechira is a real thing. And only a human being has Bechira. Moreover, only a Yid has Bechira.